couple of weeks ago, somebody asked if I was going to do a video on making sauerkraut. So this is my video, because it's so time consuming. This is some of the cabbage. I like mine. I cut mine a little bit smaller. I just like it that way. So what I do, these are from my garden. This is a smaller head. But first of all, I cut off the bottom, and then I wash them in really cold water and let them soak for a while in case there's any bugs or something in them. And so far, I haven't really found anything. You want to cut off the outer leaves. You pull those off. Anything bad, like this right here, you can kind of see. It's not bad comparably, but it's a little bit of brown, so I'll cut that off. Save it for my chickens. And then what I do is you want to cut the core out. So I do this. This is the core. You just cut along there. You can fold that out. Pull this off on both of these. Same thing. And as I'm cutting the cabbage up, I look for bad spots and I just get rid of those. I just throw, like I said, I have chickens, so I just throw that to them, and they love the cabbage. In the wintertime, a lot of times I'll buy cabbage from the store and hang it up in their pen for them to pick. And then it's wet from being in soaking, which is okay, because that, along with the salt, that's going to make your brine. So you cut it up like this. You can buy cutters too, cabbage slaw cutter. I don't, I just do it by hand. And like I said, I do mine in a little bit more smaller pieces. I just like it better that way. Here's another core. Same thing. And there's different size of crocks. I have a real big one, like that one there. It's about a 3 gallon, I think it is. And then I have some that are about 1 gallon and 2 gallons. But because this is so much, I'll use that 3 gallon one. I put about this much in there, the last batch I made, and this is as much sauerkraut I got. So it really does actually go down. So that's already been fermenting for a couple weeks. And then you put it on the stove and you heat it up. You add a little bit more water to your salt brine. In the past, some of it was a little dry because I didn't add enough water. So you want to make sure you have plenty of water when you can it. And when it comes time, I'll show you that. So this is the crock. I bought it at a yard sale for just a couple bucks because this was broke right here. But I put cheesecloth over the top of it anyway, along with the hood, the top. So I'll just do a little bit because it's going to take a while, so you kind of can see what I do. I put some in there on the bottom, like this. You want to do pickling salt, because it doesn't have any iodine in it. So make sure you buy pickling salt. And I take some of my pickling salt, about that much, for the first layer, and I just mix it around. Or actually add a tiny bit more. And then I use this little handy dandy tool, and then you just start squishing it. And you keep adding layers of salt and cabbage, salt and cabbage. And then when you get it all in, and you can kind of see if there isn't any real liquid coming out from your cabbage, you can put a tiny bit of water in there so it makes the brine. And this is going to take a while, so I'm just going to say I'll be adding more in here with the salt and squishing it down. And then after I get it all in, if there isn't enough water, juice coming up from the cabbage, I put some in, maybe anywhere from a half a cup to a cup. Then I cover it with cheesecloth. Well, first what I do is I put a plate in here and squish it down, cover it with cheesecloth, and then put the top on. In about 2 to 3 weeks, it can take up to 6 weeks, depends upon the temperature in your house. It should be done. But what I do is I go in about 2 or 3 days, I'll check this, squish it down. Sometimes it gets scum in there, which seems kind of odd, but it won't hurt you. I take the scum out and I squish it down again. And then after a couple days, I keep doing that till about 2 to 3 weeks. The last batch, it only took about 2.5 weeks and it was ready. You can taste it too after about 2 weeks to 2.5 weeks. If it tastes like sauerkraut, go ahead and can it. And when we come to that part, I'll show you how I can mine. So the whole pile of cabbage is this here. And I still got to kind of squish it down some more with my thing. I can hear the liquid coming up and stuff. So after squishing it down, I put about a half a cup of water just to kind of get some more of the brine coming up and let it sit for a few minutes. And this is what it looks like. This is the brine. This is kind of what you want to see. Like I said, sometimes you have to put a little bit of water in, and I put about a half a cup. So then I use a glass plate. Don't use metal because it can interact with the salt. And I put the plate down inside here, mostly just to hold this down. I kind of push it down like that. That's a good amount of brine. That. Then cheesecloth. Even if it didn't have that little boo-boo there, I would still put cheesecloth over the top because it does, it can keep the flies have an amazing way of getting into stuff. My top. So now it's done. Now it just sits and rots. That's basically, so they can take anywhere, they say from 3 to 6 weeks. Mine's usually 2.5 to 3 weeks. About 2 weeks in, I'll start tasting it to see if it tastes like sauerkraut. So it does get a little bit of, I don't really call it mold. It's more like a scum. You just take that off. Check it. Here in a couple days, I'll check it. A couple days after that, I'll keep checking it. And but the last time I made this stuff, I didn't get hardly any scum at all. So. It's wait to see. So hopefully 2.5 to 3 weeks from now, it should be ready to be canned. The funniest thing though, I could tell that it was getting closer and closer because the house started to smell like something was rotten. So that's one way. When you start making it, you kind of get what that smell is, and you realize that your stuff is getting pretty close. So. Nothing like eating rotten cabbage. So hopefully we'll see you in about 2 weeks to 2.5 weeks. It's a little cooler now. It might take 3 weeks. And I read somewhere it can take up to 6 weeks. So it just varies from place to place. So that's it. See you in a couple weeks.